Commissioned and Ascensioned officers of the Massachusetts National Guard, the Governor's 20, and other award recipients. We will also celebrate with a ceremonial cake cutting. Before we begin, please join us in offering a special welcome to our distinguished visitors. Please hold your applause until all are introduced. Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, Major General Keefe, Major General Gaglio, Brigadier General Cipro, Brigadier General Ahazy, Brigadier General Retired Minor, Colonel Overton, and Chief Warrant Officer 5, Vincent. The official party for today's ceremony are Governor Maura Healey, Commander-in-Chief, Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, and Major General Gary Keefe, the Adjutant General, Massachusetts National Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the entrance of the official party and remain standing for the playing of ruffles and flourishes, followed by the national anthem and the invocation by Chaplain Souza. The colors are presented today by the Massachusetts National Guard Joint Honor Guard. Honor Guard, post!
Walk time, march. Colors, hold. Left, face. Present, arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order, arms. Face. Ready, step. Ready, pose. Ready, up. Present, arms. Order, arms. About, face. Ready, step. Right, face. Forward, march.
389th birthday of the Massachusetts National Guard, we ask you to bless our citizen soldiers and to grant them strength, endurance, and courage to faithfully serve our Commonwealth and country as the nation's first. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Souza. Please be seated. Welcome to the Massachusetts State House. The room we are having our ceremony in today is the Memorial Hall, a room steeped in the military traditions and history of our Commonwealth. Today, we have the distinct pleasure of celebrating an important moment in the careers of these young officers, and we recognize the finest marksmen in the Massachusetts National Guard, as well as other award recipients. We would now like to welcome Governor Maura Healey to say a few words.
Thank you, Sergeant, and thank you, everyone, for being here, and happy birthday to the United States National Guard, born right here in Massachusetts 389 years ago. You should clap. 389 years ago, and then from there, leading the revolution that forged our nation's birth, and today, leading America forward in freedom and security. We are so proud of all of you. To General Keefe and your team, I want to thank you and all the officers, soldiers, and airmen here today for stewarding this important tradition and protecting our nation. I want to congratulate the new and ascending officers being commissioned today and the Guard members being recognized for outstanding skill and achievement. And I want to say thank you to every service member, veteran, and military family joining us here today. I'm also grateful to be joined by leaders who honor, support, and work hard for our National Guard and our military families and personnel, beginning with Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll, Treasurer Deb Goldberg, Secretary of Public Safety and Security Gina Kwon. We have members of the legislature with us today, Representatives Murray, Kilcoyne, Wong, McGonigal, Turco, and Phillips. Thank you all for the support that this building always provides to the Guard and our military. We are so proud of, and that's right, you can clap, but here's why. Here's why that's happened. It happens because we're very proud of our military history here in Massachusetts. Birthplace of the Guard, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Marines, some even claim the Army. But regardless, the work of you all as citizen soldiers is something we're particularly grateful for and proud of. I've seen it up close, time and again. As State Commander-in-Chief, I have the responsibility of activating the Guard at times of crisis, when residents' safety is at risk. Whatever the crisis, whatever the conditions, the Guard always answers the call. They also go out around the world. It's been wonderful to be briefed by General Keefe about what's happening with Guardsmen around the globe. Whenever America's interests are at stake and freedom is under attack, the Massachusetts National Guard is there. There are heroes and also true citizen soldiers. Our neighbors, family members, and friends, dads and moms, sons and daughters, coaches, teachers, first responders, and so much more. leading in the Guard and leading in your communities every day. I'll also note that the Guard plays an important role in driving our economy, something I'm really focused on as governor, right? Massachusetts today is a national security hub. We host 6 military installations, plus the Coast Guard's Northeast District, the USS Constitution, and 37 Guard armories, served by more than 8,000 National Guard soldiers, airmen, and civilians, plus thousands of active duty and reserve service members. They contribute to our military readiness, technology development, and joint operations. And because of that, Massachusetts is a cornerstone of our country's defense industry, and that is something to take care of, support, and celebrate. Because the fact of the matter is, this nation looks to Massachusetts for innovation in national defense. And it's this sector that enables so many of our nation's security solutions to actually move forward. Massachusetts innovation is one of the biggest job creators in our state and also one of the greatest contributors to the success of military operations around the globe. That's why this fall, the Lieutenant Governor and I launched a new initiative called the Massachusetts Strategic Hub for Innovation, Exchange, and Leadership in Defense, or SHIELD, okay? And the SHIELD initiative, and the goal of it is to strengthen our state's defense leadership nationally and to accelerate the development of cutting-edge technologies. So we're initially investing $47 million statewide to create jobs, to grow companies that support our men and women in uniform. Military and veteran leadership and employment will be critical components of this endeavor. And that's because we know and we have seen that Guard members and their family members, too, have the skill, determination, and teamwork to get it done. I see it happen every single day. And all of this is why I say the Guard's birthday is not just about our past, but about our future. It's about the critical role that you play in our state and our country today. You safeguarded our past, make possible our present, and ensure a safe and thriving future for us all. And that's why I'll always celebrate and support the Massachusetts National Guard, its soldiers, airmen, and families. Happy birthday once again.
Thank you, Governor Healey. We now welcome Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be with you. We've got 3 minutes left where we can still say good morning, so I think that's a good sign. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Secretary Kwon, General Keefe, and all the leaders, officers, soldiers, and airmen of the Massachusetts National Guard. The Guard, as the Governor said, truly does represent both the pride we take in our history and the strength in our communities today. And in Massachusetts, history is not just some sort of distant memory. It's our living reality all around us in cities and towns, in urban centers and rural places. As many of you know, I had the good fortune to serve as the mayor of the city of Salem for 17 years, and we are so proud in a city rich with history to be known as the birthplace of the National Guard. We had to fight Virginia for it, and we won. In 1636, the East Regiment officially mustered for the first time on Salem Common to mobilize in defense of the colony. And every year in April, always the warmest day of the year, for those of you who have been at the first muster, we gather with the Guard on Salem Common to commemorate that first muster. It is such a pride piece for community members and for others to be able to come together and really recognize this very meaningful piece of our history and our call for collective action. These events keep our proud history alive for the next generation, and they also point to the central role of the Guard in our communities. You represent, as the Governor noted, neighbors standing with neighbors, stepping up to protect us all. We are so grateful to know you're always there and ready, trained and willing. I think also at these times about the families of service members and their strength. I know families serve alongside their military members and families sacrifice along with them too. I grew up in a military family. My father served in the Navy for 22 years. And through his service, we were connected as military families and connected to other military families in communities across the nation, including right here in Massachusetts. And now I'm the proud mom of a son who's a member of the Massachusetts Army National Guard, Nicholas. He's assigned to the 182nd Engineer Company, part of the 101st Engineer Battalion, one of the oldest units in the Army, and a regular presence at the Salem muster. So we're really proud of Nikki as a family and so honored to be part of this National Guard community. All of you represent the deep strength and bright future of the United States. It's young men and young women who make a decision to devote their lives to something greater than themselves, to serving our nation. It is families coming together to support them, and it is a community stretching across our state and connected to other states in the country of people who truly care. So I want to thank this community here in Massachusetts and every member of the Guard today and your families for the service that you bring forward. It is a unique opportunity that we're in to be able to celebrate collective action coming together for the good of an idea and an opportunity greater than oneself. I want to wish the National Guard a very, very happy 389th birthday. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce our 43rd Adjutant General, Major General Gary Keefe.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here this morning to help us celebrate the 389th birthday of the National Guard. I want to thank Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, Secretary Kwon, and our elected legislators of the General Court for just all the great support they give the National Guard, the military, and our veterans community. Massachusetts continues to lead the way in the way they support with benefits and programs for its military men and women. So we can't be touched when it comes to Massachusetts and what they do. So thank you so much to our elected leaderships and our executive officers who make sure that our men and women are always taken care of as long as they wear the uniform, and when they're done after wearing the uniform, and their families are also being looked at. How many family members do I have here today that are just here to come and participate? Hey, I can't thank you enough. So I say this all the time. It's some of the older guys and gals are probably sick of hearing me say this, but this is important. Right now in our country, less than 1/3 percentage point serves in the armed services. Not even 1/2 percentage point. 1/3. It's a little bit less than 1/3. Flashback, 1986, Second Lieutenant Keefe graduates from Norwich University, gets commissioned. 15% of the population served in the military at that time. Now we don't even have 1/2 percentage point. So the officers here that have actually joined the Massachusetts, I want to thank you for being part of that 1/3 percentage point. And I want to guarantee you, you have joined the best team in the military of the United States. We're not just the birthplace of the National Guard. If you think about it, we're the birthplace of the United States military in 1636. So you've joined the best team that you can ever be part of. We're looking to you to lead. We're looking to you to be innovative, come up with new ideas, and make sure that we are creating a big enough bow wave for future generations to follow you leaders into the military, into the Guard. To the family members, I want to thank you. This can't be done without the family. I will tell you, I do not think, and I'm a little parochial, that being a member of the Guard is the hardest component you can be part of in the military. If you think about it, active duty, a lot of us were on active duty at one time. You lived on a base. My biggest care at the time was making sure my lawn was mowed, and I didn't really worry about anything else. When you join the Guard, as Governor Healey said, we have two chains of command. We have the governor day-to-day, and we have the president for federal activation. And right now, we're being used both ways. We have units all over the globe right now, all over the globe. But what makes it really hard in the Guard is you've got 3 knives you need to keep in the air. You're going to need to keep your civilian employer happy and supporting you as you serve, and that's tough. That's getting harder and harder for businessmen and women to support that. You're going to need to make sure your family is taken care of, and you're going to have to make sure your commitment and your requirements, being a member of the Army or the Air Force through the National Guard, are being met as well. So you've got 3 demands and 2 chains of command you need to worry about. And it's going to get challenging. What I ask is when you get to that point and you're thinking you're going to have to put a knife down, you go talk to your leadership. There's things we can do to kind of take some heat off you a little bit so you get things back to where they need to be, because we need you. Not just because we spent some money to train you, we need you in boots and in uniform. Families, thanks for being part of this. We're going to rely on you to go ahead and make sure that we continue to have your family member in uniform. So I'm going to end it with that. I just want to say thank you as a, not as your Adjutant General, just as a citizen of the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts and a citizen of the United States. Thank you for raising your hand, taking the oath. Because right now, the Guard is being used all over the world in ways I never would have imagined back in 1986. So thank you for serving, and thank you as family members for giving us your sons, daughters, husbands, wives, brothers, and sisters. We will make sure we take care of them. We will make sure we give them back to you better than they came in. Thank you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you, General Keefe. Officers receive 2 commissions when they are appointed in the National Guard. The President of the United States, in his role as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, issues the Federal Commission in the National Guard of the United States. The Governor, in her role as State Commander-in-Chief, issues the commission in the State National Guard. We will now recognize the officers receiving their state commissions. Please rise and remain standing as your name is called. First Lieutenant Nathaniel Allen. Second Lieutenant Michael Anderson. Second Lieutenant Zakaria Azagogar Wallam. Captain Jessica Berry. Warrant Officer 1 Brian Beaton. Warrant Officer 1 Joshua Bernard. Second Lieutenant Aaron Blysdale. Second Lieutenant Casey Brad. Captain Jacob Branco. Warrant Officer 1 Alexander Buckley. Second Lieutenant Jack Berman. Second Lieutenant Rachel Castro. Second Lieutenant Christopher Shades. First Lieutenant Isaac Conger. Second Lieutenant Jesse Cummings. Warrant Officer 1 Mary Lou Cummings. Second Lieutenant Liam Dawson. Second Lieutenant Joshua De La Rosa Garcia. Warrant Officer 1 Katrina Diorio. Second Lieutenant Eugene Donovan. Second Lieutenant Elysium Fernandez Sherrington. Second Lieutenant Christopher Gurnt. Major Christopher Hansen. Second Lieutenant Grayson Heinzer. Second Lieutenant Keston Holohan. Warrant Officer 1 Hyber Hoyos Orego. Major Song Huang. Warrant Officer 1 Jonathan Jasmine. Second Lieutenant Paul Katunde. Captain Ellen Kelly. Captain Sarah Corcus. Second Lieutenant Keenan Kostick. Second Lieutenant Newlove Cheradensa. Second Lieutenant Shannon Lethbridge. Second Lieutenant Frida Livingstone. Second Lieutenant Fallon Lundgren. Second Lieutenant Christopher Masta. Captain Seamus Matlack. First Lieutenant Hannah Messia. Second Lieutenant Nicholas Mullen. Second Lieutenant Devin Nguyensom. Second Lieutenant Arthur Noldechin. Second Lieutenant Sean O'Brien. Warrant Officer 1 Gregory Parrott. Second Lieutenant Ian Payson. Lieutenant Colonel Willis Porter. Second Lieutenant Alexander Rankin. Second Lieutenant Emily Rose. Second Lieutenant Brian Rocher. Second Lieutenant Ajia Salmon. Second Lieutenant Meg Salmon. Warrant Officer 1 Philip Sapp. Second Lieutenant Timothy Sheehan. Captain Benjamin Smith. Captain Gerald Souza. First Lieutenant Charles Steele. Major Catherine Taylor. Captain Christopher Tomei. First Lieutenant Vincenzo Tyrone. Second Lieutenant Brittany Toro. Second Lieutenant Megan Turner. Captain Sai Vedhula. Second Lieutenant Kenny Vo. Captain Lucy Eleanor Washburn Humphreys. Captain Andrea Watson. Second Lieutenant Sebastian Zanni. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Healey will now administer the officer's oath to newly commissioned and ascensioned officers in the Massachusetts National Guard.
Thank you, Sergeant. I also want to acknowledge Representative Tarzi and Leader Jones, who are with us today. I ask you now to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, that I make this obligation freely without any mental reservations or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God.
Officers, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Army and the Massachusetts National Guard are proud to award the Soldier's Medal to a service member for heroism in service to the public during a time of need. The Soldier's Medal is an individual decoration of the United States Army, awarded for acts of heroism not involving conflict with the enemy. It is the highest honor a soldier can receive for an act of valor in a non-combat situation. The medal was first awarded on October the 17th, 1927. The Soldier's Medal is presented today by Brigadier General Richard Cipro, Land Component Commander of the Massachusetts Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Thomas Beebe, Post. Attention to orders. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress 2 July 1926, has awarded the Soldier's Medal to Staff Sergeant Thomas A. Beebe, Joint Task Force Shelter Support. On the 13th of September 2023, Staff Sergeant Beebe went above and beyond the ordinary scope of his duties while engaged in operations in support of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Supplemental Shelter Program. When a fire broke out at the Red Roof Inn in Sutton, which is being used as a shelter site housing dozens of supplemental shelter clients, Staff Sergeant Beebe responded immediately. He investigated the scene and helped to evacuate a civilian inside the room. Despite the rapidly spreading fire and the lack of a sprinkler system, he worked diligently and effectively to notify and evacuate all civilians on site. Once outside, Staff Sergeant Beebe realized that his on-site supervisor was unable to extricate himself from the smoke-filled room where he had been extinguishing the fire. Without regard for his own safety, he re-entered the site and assisted his supervisor to navigate through the smoke and out of the building. Staff Sergeant Beebe's actions are in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon him, the Massachusetts National Guard, and the United States Army. Congratulations, Staff Sergeant Beebe. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The Governor's 20 Award is awarded to the top 10 pistol and top 10 rifle marksmen at the annual Adjutant General State Marksmanship Competition. Top scoring competitors at the state match have the opportunity to advance and compete at the regional and national level. The Governor's 20 Award consists of a certificate signed by the Governor and the Adjutant General, and a tab worn on the left shoulder of the recipient's uniform, on which is printed the words, Governor's 20. Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, and General Keefe will now present the recipients with their pins, tabs, and certificates. Governor's 20, post. Captain Braden Cipro.
Is your uncle? Oh, come on here. Get in here.
Sergeant Thomas Neal. Sergeant Connor King. Staff Sergeant Daniel Hill. Sergeant Aaron Gisaldi. Specialist Jacob Sass. Sergeant Alexis Rosa. Sergeant First Class Matthew Levrone. Sergeant Christian Wells. Staff Sergeant Holt. Sergeant Adalberto Velez, Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Massachusetts National Guard are proud to recognize the Governor's 20. Governor's 20, please be seated. If the official party would please remain at the front, we will now recognize the Air National Guard Airman and NCO of the Year. The Air National Guard NCO of the Year is Technical Sergeant Matthew Neep. Technical Sergeant Neep, post. Technical Sergeant Matthew Neep is recognized for distinguished service through exceptional achievement while serving as the gun shop armament shop supervisor at Barnes Air National Guard Base. Technical Sergeant Neep led the configuration of 7 F-15 Charlie aircraft and delivered 14,700 defect-free 20mm rounds, enabling 6 pilot upgrades and a flawless gun fire rating. He advanced Suite 9.2 modernization and integrated infrared search and track training for 26 pilots, supporting a $386 million readiness upgrade. His effective scheduling aimed 540 man-hours to opportune tasks, reaping 133 air patrols for 290 flight hours. Technical Sergeant Neep overhauled Vulcan gun system inspections, correcting 6 deficiencies across 51 assets and earning ACC IG praise during the 2024 UEI. He led 8 airmen through 76 upgrade tasks, restoring a critical system 70% ahead of schedule for an Operation Noble Eagle alert. He improved end-of-runway operations for 64 members, cutting airfield closures by 60% and eliminating ground emergencies. His F-35 Alpha conversion survey identified 12 facility shortfalls and reduced O&M costs by 62%. Additionally, he enhanced ammunition loading reliability, doubling output for 21 assets and reclaiming 184 man-hours. His direct maintenance actions enabled 1,500 sorties and 2,750 flight hours, exceeding the ACC flying hour standards. Technical Sergeant Neep's achievements reflect great credit upon himself, the 104th Aircraft Maintenance Squadron, the 104th Fighter Wing, and the Massachusetts National Guard. Congratulations, Technical Sergeant Neat. The Air National Guard Airman of the Year is Senior Airman Julia Ahasi. Senior Airman Ahasi, post. Senior Airman Ahasi is recognized for outstanding achievement while serving as a public affairs specialist in the Massachusetts Air National Guard. Senior Airman Julia Ahasi distinguished herself through exceptional performance in advancing the wing's public affairs reach and capability. Senior Airman Ahasi implemented the Commander's Channel on the base network and produced the Shamrock newsletter, ensuring airmen remained informed each RSD. Senior Airman Ahasi managed all wing social media platforms, increasing Facebook reach by 58.7% and Instagram reach by 641.8% over the last year. As the host of the Chevrons podcast, Senior Airman Ahasi produced audio and video interviews with key leaders, including the Senior Enlisted Advisor of the National Guard Bureau. Senior Airman Ahasi's stories, photos, and videos highlighting wing readiness were amplified 7 times by the National Guard Bureau, elevating the wing's national reputation. Senior Airman Ahasi provided public affairs coverage during a regional prime beef exercise with the New Hampshire and Rhode Island National Guards, and also represented the wing at the 2024 NGB PA training workshop. Senior Airman Ahasi also supported the State Partnership Program engagements through coverage of Cyber Yankee 2024. Senior Airman Ahasi's performance reflects great credit upon herself, the 102nd Intelligence Wing, and the Massachusetts Air National Guard. Congratulations, Senior Airman Ahasi. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, this coming Saturday, December 13th, we recognize as the birthday of the National Guard. On that day in 1636, the first militia regiments in North America were organized right here in Massachusetts. Based upon an order of the Massachusetts Bay Colony's General Court, the colony's militia was organized into 3 permanent regiments to better defend the colony. Today, the descendants of these first regiments, the 181st Infantry, the 182nd Infantry, the 101st Field Artillery, and the 101st Engineering Battalion of the Massachusetts Army National Guard share the distinction of being the oldest units in the U.S. military. December 13, 1636 thus marks the beginning of the organized militia and the birth of the National Guard's oldest organized units. It also is symbolic of the founding of all state, territory, and District of Columbia militias that come from the National Guard. Assisting the Governor, Lieutenant Governor, and General Keefe in the ceremonial cutting of our birthday cake are our youngest and oldest currently serving National Guardsmen. Our oldest serving Guardsman is Brigadier General Richard Cipro. And our youngest serving Guardsman is Second Lieutenant Alexander Rankin.
I think I need a bigger medicine.
Might need to sharpen.
We'll have this cut in the back and everybody wants a piece.
We needed that experience.
Congratulations to all our honorees, and on behalf of the Governor, the Lieutenant Governor, and the Adjutant General, thank you for attending today's ceremony. As a reminder, immediately after the completion of the ceremony, our newly commissioned officers and then our Governor's 20 should join Governor Healey for a group photograph at the Grand Staircase in that order. Additionally, we would like to extend our thanks to the Mass Military Friends for their support of today's event. Please rise for the departure of the official party and the playing of God Bless America. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in Nurses Hall for cake and light refreshments as we celebrate the achievements of today's honorees and the National Guard's 389th birthday. This completes our ceremony. Thank you for joining us today.